Hi everybody, it's David Fleming here from the Toronto Realty blog, and welcome to this week's Pick 5. Folks, things are starting to heat up. And I know that if you have been watching the news reports and reading the headlines, you're probably going to say, that's interesting, that's not what I've been told. Well, look, I don't want to sound like Donald Trump with his whole fake news thing, because I hate him and I hate what he's done to free speech. But I will say that I have always believed that negativity sells, the old if it bleeds, it leads. The headlines are so misleading out there, guys, and I'm going to show you an example of it. Take a look at this. This is a screen capture from my phone on my news feed. The CBC says Toronto area home prices drop 35%. It's wrong. Toronto sales dropped 35%. And that's in February over last February, which of course was a record. So we won't even get into the whole, what does it mean? Just look at the headline. Somebody so badly wanted to talk about how bad the market was that they got excited and said that prices are down 35%. Prices are not down 35%, okay? The average home price Toronto-wide is down 12.4%, not 35. But even if we look at the 12.4%, keep in mind that that is GTA. And I work for the most part in the central core. And there are so many metrics that you can look at. There are so many different numbers. We can make numbers say anything you want. I'm not going to stand here and say, well, I'm actually sitting, but I'm not here to talk to you about how great the market is and how it's amazing and, sound like one of those guys that, works at a convention that's, it's a great time to buy, keep going, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you could name names. What I am saying is that what I'm seeing in the market is not matching the narrative. And if you read my blog on Wednesday, or if you looked at the Creating Your Own Narrative blog that I did last week, you will see there are a lot of people out there that just don't get it. So I want to show you something. Take a look at this. This is a property that sold last night. 889 list. And we're all trying to figure out what we think it's going to sell for. A colleague of mine had an offer that was around $1,050,000 or something. This last year, last February, would sell for $1.1 million. It's a great house, 3-bed, 2-bath, on a great street on Glenholm. It has no parking. This is a 1.1 sale. Last year, it sold for 1.2. So if the market's down 12.4%, why did this house just sell for 10% more than it would have last year? You can make numbers say anything you want. So I'm sitting in my office. This is going on. There's 12 offers. And at the same time, this house on Simpson is also taking offers. Listed at $998, sold for $1,376,000. The market is not down. All of the headlines say that it is. Look at what's happening in this market. So look, I always say, if the market really was down, I would probably sell more real estate because more people would need to sell, and that's when they're going to call a top agent instead of, their cousin or what have you. I'm not doing this to push my own agenda. I get really frustrated when what I see out there does not match what we see in the news. Here's another example. This sold last night. So this condo, I don't think I put this in my blog. Oh, I was talking to the Toronto Star about this yesterday. 516 square feet. And it was listed for $524,900. That's $1,017 a square with no parking and no locker. Did have a nice balcony. This thing got 4 offers and sold for $575. That is, and let's put it up as big as possible. Put it over my face if you want to. $1,114 a square foot with no parking. The market is not down. The market has not cooled. The headlines are not meeting what's going on in reality. So that's my preamble. That's my introduction. I had to. I had no choice, guys. I had to say that because, as I said, I just get so incredibly frustrated. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? Well, speaking of high prices, people are trying to be creative out there, and they're trying to find ways that they can get into the market maybe where they wouldn't be able to do so otherwise. So you can buy a fixer-upper, you can buy things and sacrifice on parking, basement, bedrooms, etc., or something that is a time-tested tradition, people that look for, drumroll, basement income. Yeah, well, you already know because you saw what the email said. We're going to look today at properties with basement income. And for the most part, I think I had 4 properties on the east side and 1 on the west. I just kind of looked around to see what we could find. I'm trying to keep it as cheap as possible. I mean, $2.5 million house with, $900 in the basement, great. But I'm trying to show you guys things around $1 million. Of course, a lot of them will sell for more than that, just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. So these are the 5 properties that we're going to be looking at. As I said, 1 west, the others east. We're going to try to go across the board here. I want to look at properties that are fully detached. I want to look at properties that are semis. I want to look at 2-story versus if we can get into 2.5. I was going to include a bungalow, but it's just a little bit too weird. I want to look at things where the income is lower, where the income is higher. I'm going to look at stuff that's under $1 million, stuff that's up to 1.3. So trying to go across the board. We're also looking at location. And of course, if you do have a basement tenant, you want to look for what is the most important thing for tenants? No? I don't actually know what you said. I'm just guessing. It is transit. If you're owning a property with basement income, or if you're looking for an investment property, transit is the most important thing, because I'm going to typecast and say that people that rent basement apartments don't own cars, and they're taking transit to work. So as you can see, we have a couple of properties that are around here, or up here over on the Danforth. The first one we're going to look at is actually in Leslieville. Okay, so Lewis. I had a friend that named their kid Lewis. I thought, isn't that a last name? I'm one of those people that like the Harpers, the Jacksons, the Thompsons, the Petersons. Like, those are last names, and now they're first names. Right now, one of you is watching this, and you're like, great. So my triplets, Harper, Thompson, and Peterson, they're never going to buy real estate through you. Anyways, Lewis. A friend of mine named his kid Lewis, and I'm sure 20 years from now, that'll be the most common name on the planet, and everyone will be like, your daughter's name is Maya? That's a last name. Anyways, okay, so what do we have here? We have an A-plus location. We are in Leslieville. Well, actually, to be fair, this is called Riverside. I don't know how it came up with that name, but this area is not quite Leslieville, so they called it Riverside. They being, I don't know, the real estate gods. So really good location. We're going to zoom in here. What do I always do here? I find some restaurant that I've never been to and make fun of it. Oh, sidebar here. Guess who's going out to a dinner on Saturday night, right, with friends? Maybe I'm not an old curmudgeon. That's right. My wife and I are going to dinner with two friends of hers at Carbon Bar. And if there's a wait, I'm going to die. I swear to God. Who waits for food? The Petit Déjeuner down on King Street in the St. Lawrence Market? Freezing cold on Sunday morning. Absolutely freezing cold. People are lined up for an hour to go in and eat brunch. Why? I don't understand that. I hope the photos you took for Instagram were good. Okay, right. So we are near all the prime restaurants. And in terms of transit, obviously you can take the Queen streetcar into the city. There's also the Broadview streetcar as well. So A-plus location. Lewis Street is actually really cute, really charming. The house itself from the outside, it's got the vinyl on the outside, so maybe it's not the original brick Victorian that you might expect in this area. But the one thing I want to note here, guys, is that there is a front entrance to the basement apartment. This is crucial because on our list, which I didn't mention, we're looking at all the different things. Is it detached? Is it semi? Typical things we should always talk about. Does it have parking? But for the tenant, is it near transit? What's the layout like? Is there an extra half story? So maybe that the actual owner suite can get a little bit more room. You're sacrificing the basement, of course, and maybe that loft up top can be the rec room that the basement would be. One of the things to note is, how does the tenant get into the unit? So let's say, for argument's sake, this isn't here and you have to go through the back door. What that means is, if you and your family are having grandpa's 90th and then your tenant is having 4 peeps over, and they kind of walk through, like, oh, hey, Mr. Peterson, or maybe that's your first name, Pete Peterson, hey, the landlord, we're gonna just head on down now, and they like scooch by where the cake is for grandpa. It's kind of awkward. The basement apartment that has the back entrance is far less ideal than the one that has the front. So I could have summed that up a little bit more. This house, guys, fully done, really, really good looking. Of course, the staging's phenomenal. Whose listing is this? Yes, of course. I would expect nothing less. Totally renovated. Really good flow on the main floor, I will say. And cool little room at the back here. So this would be, it could be your family room, but it's an extra room, it's an addition, and you need that obviously if you're giving up the basement. So kids' bedroom. Here we've got the bathroom, and here is the basement apartment, which honestly looks like something right out of Income Property. You know, in Income Property, that show where they say you can renovate your basement for like 11 grand, and then you always rent it out. You're like, we thought that they'd get 800, but they ended up getting 1250. You're like, oh, that's nice. Okay, perfect. Just exceeded your expectations by 50%. So really, really great unit. Nicely staged as well. I would have got rid of that towel if we're being picky, which I am. It's been that kind of a day. Decent ceiling height. Actually, you can always tell the ceiling height by the microwave. Yeah, the microwave is touching the ceiling. So maybe the ceiling height's not as good as it looks in the photos. So this thing, guys, there you go. Let me just pull the listing. Right. So it says 2-car parking. It's 20 feet wide. So we look for 10 feet per car, basically. So you can have 2-car parking back here, which is fantastic. You can either have a tenant with a car. As I said, none of them have a car, but if you wanted one, they could. So this thing is, it says that the tenant is there. I don't know what the rent is. So I'm going to massively speculate, and I want your guys' help with this. What do we think this would rent for? Let me go to the floor plan just to give you a better idea here. of what the lower level looks like. Okay, so that's where you come in. You've got that living dining, that kitchen with the low microwave, and then you've got that bedroom. So what do you think that rents for? 713 square feet minus this here, minus the utility. So if you've got, this is 713, let's take this utility away and say this is 590 square feet. 590 square foot condo downtown, no parking, oh, I'm gonna say 1750? No, you think more? What does the basement go for? Guys, I'm going to call this a $1,200 basement, and it may be $1,300. Actually, no, I'm going to call it a $1,300 basement. I am. Now, what does $1,300 carry for? Right now, let's put this up. It's $500 per 100,000. Okay, so what that means is $100,000 in mortgage costs you $500. So if this is renting for $1,300, that's going to carry $260,000 of your mortgage. So $899. This thing takes offers. I believe it's actually tonight. Sky's the limit for what you think this could go for, folks, based on those last few sales. We're in Riverside, Leslieville. We have a 20-foot lot. We have a basement apartment. We have this main floor. I want to go back to the floor plan, please. That's what I was talking about. They've put bedroom, which is kind of silly. But you've got that living dining, 9'4" ceiling height, huge big open concept kitchen, and this is a 20-foot lot. So think about how wide that would be. And then you've got that room at the back, which I think is really cool. So the only thing that I didn't love about this, and I'll show you, is that the second floor has the 2 bedrooms, but the bathroom is on the main floor. So you don't have a bathroom on your own floor, or on the bedroom floor. So what do we think this is going to go for? I have to think this is $1,050,000. I have to think this is $1,001,000. Beyond that, sky's the limit, folks, based on that sale that we saw last night. Okay, let's move on. Okay, guys, the next property we've got here is 29 Fisken Avenue. Where is Fisken Avenue? Well, it's the one that I pulled on the west side. I wanted more to compare to, but it's the only one we can look at. So it's, let me just zoom in here. There we go. So it's north of High Park. It is west of the junction. Where is it? You're going to call this junction. What do they call it on here? Just what you have been waiting for in the Prime Junction neighborhood. So I'm going to zoom in, and you can see that you have a train here. You probably wouldn't be able to hear. Prime Junction is way further down, way further. I'm going to zoom out so you can see this yellowish tinge here. That's where Prime Junction is, but it's still a great spot. It's a little close to Dundas, making you really dizzy here. It is about 3 or 4 houses in from Dundas Funeral Home. Doesn't really bother me, but you can see where you're getting into away from the retail and into the industrial, right? Plumbing supplies, stoves and fireplaces. It's not quite as nice as, you know, the little, what do I always say, the organic coffee bar and, you know, La Cheeserie or what have you. Okay, so Fisken, 3-bed, 3-bath, $949 on the market for 82 days. Right there, that has to tell you there's something wrong with it. On the market for 82 days. So, right, here's our floor plan. God, I hate when they do that. Did you see that right there? It says floor plan. Check this out. Boom, not a floor plan, is it? Okay, that's too bad. So we're gonna have to look at the photos to get a sense of the flow. So it is a 17, let me just go back, guys. 17 by 146, so really, really nice deep lot. Prime for an addition. Now this, see this, I put this in my video, or my blog last week. I love that the photographer took a photo with the sun. Oh, sorry, it's not a photographer, it's definitely the agent or an assistant taking the photo. So it's nicely staged, good flow on the main floor. The issue for me is going to be, what is the quality of the renovation? And I say that because, look at this. They put this giant fridge right in front of the back door. And that, to me, is not a deal breaker, but it's a red flag. And it makes you think, if they designed a kitchen and didn't want to rework it to avoid having a fridge right in front of a door, which, by the way, this is the 2-piece main floor bathroom, what else have they done? And maybe that's why it hasn't sold after 82 days in the market. Little staging tables there, kind of silly. Okay, there you go. A bathroom. So again, we're looking at staging, and you can see things like this is the original stuccoed popcorn ceiling from the 1960s. They have done what looks like a flip, or maybe they didn't flip it and it's just been in the family a long time, but it's a pretty quick job. So bathroom, they didn't really renovate. It is exactly as it was, and that's because bathrooms are way tougher to renovate. Down in the basement, see this cover on the fuse panel? Sorry, fuse panel. They're not using fuses. On the electrical panel, they could have probably spent $30 and got rid of this ugly thing, but they didn't. And so that's the concern here. That's why I look at these listings that are flips or look like it, and I say, okay, they've got wires running down here. You've got this awful fluorescent light. They could have done pot lights, but they didn't. They laid down a new floor and trim because that's easy. we could do that ourselves. So here they've left the cellophane on the kitchen appliances to show you that it's new, but I still look at it and I say, what kind of awkward space is this? We can't look at the floor plan because they didn't upload one. So there's the basement bathroom. Again, totally original, haven't touched it. And there's the backyard that they haven't touched. Now they do have parking. So what do we think about this? I think when I see something on the market 82 days, it raises a red flag. But I also think that just looking at the photos alone, it tells me that this does not have the workmanship we're looking for. So look, at $949 with a basement apartment that based on, where are we here based on our map? Let me zoom out. It's not super close. I mean, you can go to St. Clair and take the streetcar across here all the way down here to Bloor. So it's not super close to transit, but it gets a solid B as far as the central core of Toronto is concerned. So that basement, even as is, with a giant washer dryer sitting there, so don't ask me about the flow because it doesn't make any sense to me, I still think that basement is probably going to pull in $1,000 a month for rental. $1,000 a month, that carries $200,000 of your mortgage. You're looking at $900,000 because I'm going to adjust this 50 grand. So it's basically like buying a $700,000 house. Now, even with the warts and all, $700,000 for the upper levels of this house, you cannot do better. That, of course, is why we're looking at properties with basement income. Okay, going to move on to 51 Beck. So now we're going back to the other side of the city. Let me show you where 51 Beck is. It's in the pocket. How embarrassing. My pocket's actually on this side of my blazer. It's in the pocket. The pocket is a made-up little name, probably coined by a real estate agent for this area. I think that's the pocket. This might be the pocket here. Actually, they might call this Eastland Park area. That's the best when you don't know the name of an area. You pick some sort of place of interest and then add area. Oh yeah, you live over at Eastland Park area, do you? So the pocket. I believe that is the pocket. Let me see. No, I do not believe that's the pocket. Guys, I'm sorry. Come along on a little ride with me. Is that the pocket? I think this is the pocket. Anyways, it's a stupid name, probably made up by a real estate agent, as in a nice pocket of the city. This, guys, is east of Woodbine. And as I always say, let me scroll out here. I always say that, see all these east-west crisscrossing streets, this nice little grid here? This is your Glebe Homes, Springdale, Milverton, Strathmores. This is a great spot. When you get on the other side of Woodbine, school district changes, and you get the north-south streets. South of Woodbine, a bit of a different feel. I still like the area. I think it's great value. Okay, you just don't know if it's the pocket, do you, David? Okay, so this is 51 Beck. We're listed at $989 now. Now, this one has a holdback on offers, of course. The one we just saw in the market 82 days clearly does not. So we're back looking at what we consider better real estate, probably going to sell in competition. Just came out today. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath. Obviously, you have a 4-piece upstairs, which is yours, and a 3-piece in the basement with the apartment. Now, I don't believe this one has photos of the apartment, which is a shame. 23-foot lot, 91. See this mutual drive and detached 1-car garage? Let's take a look and see if we actually think you could get a car in there. So kind of a cute house. 23.4 for a semi in terms of the frontage. That's fairly decent. Let me see. Do you guys think you can get a car through there? Let me like a Model T Ford. So main floor, nice, not everyone's style, but little things like having a big double closet and not just walking right in and having to put coats on the wall is something you'll notice when you walk in and put coats right on the wall. And your friend happens to have a closet. You say, why didn't we buy a house with a closet? And then hopefully your partner says, because you don't buy a house based on a closet. There are more important things. So I like that they've opened this up. On the original footprint, you would have had this enclosed. So it gives you that option of having bar stools here, which they didn't do. And I would agree with that, because why do you need bar stools 2 feet from your dining room table? I'm salty today. Boy, I'm just going through all of the visual things that I've been seeing lately. There was a house we looked at. Oh, where was it? Belsize. And it had the biggest kitchen you've ever seen. And then on the other side of the kitchen was like a third of what you'd like to be a family room. And it was like, okay, so they put bar stools here. Maybe if you got rid of the overhang and you move the entire kitchen back 5 feet, you don't need to be able to stretch your entire wingspan. You know, if you're like a center in an NBA, like 8'6" between your 2 kitchen counters. So it just was that sort of no man's land feel, where there just wasn't enough room for the room to be anything. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. Let me just go back to finish this thought. If you had a counter here and bar stools, it's such overkill, because now you're just infringing upon the dining space. Okay, so go on. So it's not the newest reno, but it is pretty nice. I like this one a lot. I think it's really good value. Washer dryer at the back, because of course you've got basement tenants, and it divides the space up nicely. So bedrooms, we've got 3 of them. Bathroom, I think that's the original floor. Floors are just so much work to change. This is the only photo we have of the basement, guys, is this one room, but that's because it's tenanted, and there's your garage. So can you get a car through and be able to park in there? Ooh, nice little shot there. Okay, so this takes offers on Wednesday, March 14th. That's right, it just came out. And there was something that I wanted to highlight here. Oh yeah, this one's interesting. Proof of financing with all offers. Is this the kind of market we're getting ourselves into? And it's funny because I'm going to go off on a tangent, not like me at all. When I have clients that come up from the United States, they always say, what do I need to provide to make the offer? And I say, a check? And they're like, no, like to show that I can actually close this deal. And I go, oh, nothing. They're like, but that doesn't make any sense. Because in the States, and I go, we're not in the States. And they say, but how do they know I can actually close the transaction? And I go, leap of faith. It's true. In the States, it's very customary to show some sort of documentation to say that you're buying $1 million house with a check for 50 grand, but you actually can come up with the difference in terms of your down payment and or mortgage financing. In Canada, we don't do that. But now you may be starting to see people like this one say proof of financing with all offers. Okay, so this one takes offers 2 weeks from now. It is in the pocket. Look. Oh, no, wait. In quiet South Danforth pocket. Is it the pocket or a pocket? I need to go now because I'm embarrassing myself. So $989, it's definitely over $1 million. It's a question of how much. I like, though, that they did not price this thing at, $799, $899, because it's getting crazy out there. There's a house in North Toronto that's at $995, sold for $1.6. Yeah, not my favorite. Okay, so let's move on here to Moberly. So this thing is sitting. It's at $1,049,000. Has not been reduced. Yeah, $1,049,000, 51 days now on the market. Okay, so what have we got? Location-wise, oh, there we go. Google, thank you. Location-wise, we're not too far away from the pocket we were just in, which was over here on Beck. We're on the other side of Woodbine into East Lynn Park area. Right, I made that up. Put my name on the park bench, okay? East Lynn Park area on Moberly, which is actually a really nice street. Of course, it would be a $100,000 difference if you happen to be on East Lynn facing the park itself. So this thing's sitting, and why is it sitting? 20 by 100 foot lot, basement apartment. It says it has a mutual drive and 2-car parking. It's always so weird. It's so weird. Actually, that is wide for what it's worth. You might be able to get a car through there. I just wonder where the 2-car parkings are. Oh, this is cool. I love when they do this. This is like left eye, right eye, left eye, right eye. I stole that from Wayne's World, Part 2. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. That movie would not be funny if we saw it today. Humor gets dated. So why isn't it sold? Well, I'd say the stager maybe didn't do quite so good a job on this one. I don't get it. Guy sits here, puts his feet up here, table here. Are we doing an interview? What's happening? Literally should have left this thing empty. Okay. Cool. Love the stick of urn of sticks. Urn of sticks. Guys, I'm so tired. Oh my God, I need a vacation. Okay. So we're getting familiar with the layout here. It's decent. It's just everything around it's so ugly. Ugly light fixture, ugly paint color, ugly floor, ugly curtain, ugly staging. Everything's ugly. Now we have the renovated kitchen, which was renovated. And again, I want to walk in here and I want to look at, I always say where 2 pieces of wood are joined. How is it done? Did the electrical, that guy, do the flooring? You've heard that from me literally every Pick 5 for, I don't know, however long you've been watching, probably. So again, let's take a look here. We do have washer dryer upstairs, which is nice because the basement, we're not going to try to split that. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is they try to have a communal washer dryer in the basement. Yeah, you're just eating up square footage. Okay, so let's move along here. So, not the same feeling, new renovated kitchen. Upstairs, this is all original. And my guess is this is part of the reason why it hasn't sold. It just, holy crap, these photos are terrible. Look at these little dots here. That's either light or a dirty lens. Original bathroom, basement apartment, which is tenanted. And I think this was getting $900 a month. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a hell of a lot worse. And you have to, of course, access from, this is the big point I wanted to make, access from the backyard. So I will say that $1,049,000, obviously is not flying off the shelves. This thing, and we look when we see 51 days on market, it's a matter of what could you get it for. Basement apartment, I mean, if this thing was cleaned, completely painted, swap out the light fixtures, spruce it up a little bit, spend a few $1,000 on it, and then do a dynamite staging, this should be $1 million. It should be $1 million. It's on Moberly, I know, but it's detached. It's a friggin' detached house, and it has a basement apartment with its own entrance. Yes, it's at the back. We have quasi parking. To me, this has a lot of potential. It just doesn't show exceptionally well, and we're so used to showing houses exceptionally well, which we may very well see for the next one. Okay, so continuing along in the east, here we have 130 Ashdale, and it is a little bit further south. Keep zooming. Okay, actually it's a lot further south. So we were just over here by Eastland Park area. Now we're all the way down into our no man's land. We're into our Greenwood Park area, right? Where do you live? Greenwood Park area. So this area here is what we always refer to as Leslieville, Little India, Beaches, Danforth-ish. It has no name. I've got a few clients in here. I have one on Woodfield, one on Highfield, and one on Rhodes. Actually, a buddy of mine lives around the corner on Rhodes too. So look, I always ask them, where do you live? And they themselves joke. They're like, we don't know. We're kind of on an island. But the house itself is detached, 2-story, 25-foot lot, 116, great curb appeal. Love that kind of, what do you call it? What would they refer to it in here? No, they didn't actually say what it looked like. Oh, yeah. Ready for this? North Leslieville. North Leslieville. North Leslieville. West Leslieville. East Beaches. North Leslieville. It's north of Dundas. And it's like, oh, my eyes are almost watering. North Leslieville. All right, let's look at the photos. North Leslieville. So again, I like the curb appeal. Very nice. I do like the covered porch because it gives you a ton of storage options. I always say, who sits on their porch? I don't know, older people reading a book, like I do in Idaho. In fact, I could probably come up with a photo of me sitting on the porch in Idaho. I'm gonna have to make a mental note to find one. But in Toronto, like, you don't need a porch. You're not sitting on the porch. Cover that thing up and put a ton of storage in for you and for your kids. Now we have basement entrance at the front, which is fantastic. There's your covered porch. Although they have no storage, they just have 2 chairs. So if you are going to sit there and watch the world go by, now you have to do it through a window. Okay, maybe it's staging. Okay, so main floor is great. There's this little jog here, which is interesting. See on this diagonal? So they turn the table diagonal. That's the only real oddity about this. So kitchen, we've got bar stools. Love those bar stools. Okay, gas stove. Main floor powder room. Upstairs, high ceilings. You can tell by the books they put up here for some odd reason. There you go. Ladder going up to, I don't know what that is, a loft perhaps. Okay, I've got a honed slate shower tile. It's not my fave, but you get a sense of the space. The bedrooms are above average, and here's the basement. So this basement is getting $1,100 a month, so $1,100 is going to carry $220,000 worth of mortgage. So very, very good ceiling height, as you can tell. Do the microwave check. The microwave is on top of the fridge. A fridge usually goes up to the top of your head, so you figure this is probably 7 feet. That's fantastic. We've got somebody here that works from home. There's their own washer dryer in the bathroom, and a very big yard. So this was, wait for it, it says mutual drive, but it's interesting because maybe they're just shooting it with a house. The house is on the other side. To me, it kind of looked like a laneway. But anyways, you can definitely get a car or 2 back there. This thing, guys, is listed at $1,298,000 with offers anytime. They're doing the opposite strategy. They're not listing low, they're listing high. So what we've got here, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? If this was on the Milverton, Springdale, Strathmore kind of area, well, not Strathmore because the subway's underneath, but in that area off of Danforth, in a more desirable, I'm not going to say better area, maybe you'd be able to attain this. But $1,298,000, yes, you've got parking, you've got the basement apartment, it's a big house, it's a big footprint, 25 foot, and it's detached. That's a whole lot of pluses into one. To me, it's going to sound cheesy, I just don't feel $1.3 million here. I don't feel $1.3 million. Perhaps that's because I know what else you can get for $1.3 million in other areas. So let me go to the floor plans here. Last but not least, guys. Okay, so take a look. Main floor, this is what I wanted to note. Remember when I said that it had this awkward jog? I don't know what this is here. I'm going to assume that because there's a fireplace, maybe this is a chimney. It's in dark, which usually means on a floor plan that you You can't just take it out with your bare hands, let's say. This is concrete, it's load bearing, it's something to that extent. If you were to take this out, because who needs a fireplace when it completely screws up the flow, if you were to take this out, I think it would be great, and it would really improve the flow, living, dining. That's my only real critique. There is no, it looks like, access to the basement from here. See this, it just says up, it doesn't say down. So that means that basement apartment is going to remain a basement apartment. So here, master, as I said, it's huge. Second bedroom, they put den above. That's where you saw that ladder. The 4-piece bath. I don't know what spa bath is all about. So most important, we wanted to look at the basement apartment. It is huge, 4-basement apartment. See this, living, entry, kitchen, dining. There's your bed, walk-in closet. Who's got a walk-in closet in a basement apartment? So they're getting $1,100 for it. I think that's pretty good. All told, as I said, $1,298,000. I think it is a little high. Okay, so let's go back here. The one on Lewis I really, really liked. The issue was, obviously, it's a 2-bedroom, and I said it could get upwards of $1,000,001. Right, crazy town? Maybe not, based on this market, because of that basement income and because of the location, and it's turnkey and it's on a 20-foot lot. So only a 2-bedroom, and my pet peeve, does not have a bathroom upstairs, so you have to go downstairs in the middle of the night when you have to go pee. Otherwise, you just have to grit your teeth and bear it. Fisken was a weird property. There's opportunity. It just did not look like the best quality to me. Beck, I thought, was really cool. Moberly, again, opportunity. It just, a really ugly listing. And last but not least, Ashdale, to me, just a hair pricey. Anyways, guys, I'm showing half hour here. I've got to run because it's getting really long in the tooth, not unlike me. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. That's a look at properties with basement income. And the magic number you want to use, let's put this up one more time. It's $100,000 of mortgage is carried by $500 a month. So if you have $1,000 in the basement, that's going to carry $200,000 worth of your mortgage. That number has increased, of course, because interest rates have gone up. If you wanted to bring that number down, you can consider a 30-year amortization, which would bring that down. Or if you take a shorter rate, I'm looking at, I think, a 3.49%. But that's the nuts and bolts of it. So if you're looking for an opportunity to get into the market at a price you wouldn't be able to without the income, that is the best way to do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.